Noah Presgrove, an All-American mystery. Was it an accident or was it murder? Two separate 911 calls were made the morning of September the 4th, 2023.
It looked like somebody got hit, like somebody walking down the highway laying on the shoulder of the road. So like maybe they were walking and somebody hit them, unless it was a deer. It looked like a body. It looked awful odd.
Yes, ma'am. I was driving to work, and I'm pretty sure there's somebody laying dead along the road. They look naked. I turned around because I just about hit it. First, I thought it was a deer, and I was talking to a guy I work with. I'm like, I don't think that's a deer.
In fact, what the caller saw that morning was none other than 19-year-old Noah Presgrove. He was found in the fetal position on the side of the highway. He was naked with a pair of mismatched shoes on. His skull was fractured and split into two. He had multiple broken ribs, and many of his teeth were shattered. This was all after attending one of his friend's party the night before. Let's get into the events that led up to this point of Noah Presgrove's passing. Noah Presgrove was an All-American 19-year-old from Oklahoma. Noah played football and he excelled on the wrestling team at the Comanche High School. Noah had just graduated 3 months earlier with plans to go into the military. So like many graduates, he was enjoying the summer off by spending time with his friends. On Labor Day weekend, Noah was invited to a 4-day party/birthday celebration. The party was kicked off on September the 2nd on a Saturday. There was drinking involved, and they liked to play a game where they were hitting each other and posting it to social media for fun.
Punch me. I want to Come on. Yes, come on, Shady.
And at one point in the party, Noah allowed his friends to draw on his body with a permanent marker. Sometime later that night, it is reported that Noah gets into an argument and a bit of a tussle with his best friend, Jack Newton, pictured here on the right, and it's supposedly over Jack's girlfriend, Carter. Noah decides to head back to his grandmother's house and let things cool off, and he's going to sleep it off for the night. And that's just what he does. And the next day, Sunday, September the 3rd, his best friend, Jack, is now reaching out to him, texting, calling, wanting him to come back to the second day of the party. Noah had slept it off and he does want to return back to the party. However, Noah owns an old red beat-up truck that stalls out pretty often, and he didn't think it was reliable enough to get him to the party, so he makes arrangements with his friends that they are going to pick him up and take him to the party around 7 o'clock, which is exactly what happens. Here is some of the footage and post from that day.
Dude, I'll just beat the Kyle was talking about me and hit me.
I'm actually I would just rather you not show me where
No, it's not me. I slap you. I do trust me. I trust hit me. I trust hit me then. I trust hit me. You're really holding hit me then. Go ahead. See, I wasn't going.
Which one?
Yeah,
we got it.
You see my wiener?
Country Pimp. 1-on-1. Mike Tyson.
I know.
The party continues. Noah has another friend named Mike. Him and Mike get into an argument because Mike believes that Noah has his cell phone, but later actually finds his cell phone under the couch. And later on, yet another argument ensues. This time it is Jack and Noah for the second time. They are arguing again over Carter, Jack's girlfriend. Jack felt like Noah was flirting a little too much. However, Jack goes on to say through a text that they ended up making up. The text says, "But the day before we argued about girls for like a second and then ended up holding each other, crying, telling each other how much we meant to one another." So he really brings home the point that they got over it and it was squashed. Jack later recounts that he went to sleep after the argument and the makeup, and that Noah came in to get Jack's keys for his UTV without him knowing because he was asleep, and Noah and some other guys went out riding. While they were out, Noah wrecks Jack's UTV and has a rollover accident. The extent of his injuries are not known, but Noah was able to walk back to the house that the party was at. Once he gets there, he has some friends help him into the shower and get him washed up and cleaned up because he was reported to be kind of dirty from the accident. And so they get him cleaned up and clothed. Noah then wants to go to sleep, but one of the females at the party said no, that they cannot allow for Noah to sleep in their bed. So Noah gets upset and storms out, which a lot of the partygoers say this is something that Noah normally does. Before he leaves, he grabs his Adidas shoe. He can't find his second shoe, so he grabs one of his friends' Hey Dude shoes. This is the last that he is seen.
Noah never made it home from that party. On Labor Day, September 4th, he was found dead less than a mile away on the side of a rural highway. He was naked except for his shoes, and to this day, nobody knows what happened to him. I should say that Noah's family doesn't know. And if police know, they are doing a great job of hiding it. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation declared his death suspicious. Start with this. The back of his head was caved in. Some of his teeth were missing and scattered where he was found. His nose and his cheeks appeared broken. His body seemed beaten and swollen. His fingertips were torn up. There was gravel under his nails. There was road rash on his hip and gravel rash.
So early Monday morning, two separate gentlemen on the way to work stopped and they made phone calls to 911 stating that they thought that they saw a body on the side of the road. They got out and they shielded his body from oncoming traffic with their trucks. Coincidentally, Jack, Noah's best friend, is riding down this same highway. He sees the scene and the trucks stopped blocking off the body. He gets out and that's when he realized that it's Noah's body. He says that he was on the way to go fishing with his father and his grandfather. This is a text that he sent out while he was still at the house that the party was at, saying that he wanted a hat because he can't find his. Jack was later on to have an interview with NewsNation. This is how it went.
I ran over here, asked him if Noah was okay, and the semi-truck driver had his hands on Noah like this. And so I just kind of, and I could just tell, you know, that he was not okay. He was laying on his side, and he just had his eyes closed, you know. And he had a cut on his forehead, like it wasn't just like terrible, like, I mean, it was just a cut on his forehead. The top of his hair was scraped off his head, and there was blood on his ears. 100% in my heart think that he was hit. I think he got hit on the top of his head by a semi. And that shoe that was on good just stayed on. I don't know. I can't explain any of it, you know.
Is there any part of you that believes that he might have been beaten to death?
No. No, he was not beaten to death.
Why not?
Because just the injuries, you just could tell he's not. And I said, okay, I'll take a polygraph test. I took the polygraph test, and I mean, it was nerve-wracking, of course. I had these two things in my fingers. I had a butt pad and then my feet thing, and these things around my chest. I mean, and I didn't even get to look at the guy. I was looking straight forward, and he was talking to me, asking me questions.
There's a lot of online chatter, and I think that's the reason why they're asking for you to take a polygraph test about you and your father. I mean, tell me about what that experience has been like for you to have to handle that type of discussion happening all around you.
I think the reason that I got brought into it is because, I mean, going through high school, you did not hear Jack's name without Noah and Noah without Jack. I mean, we were just always together. I mean, he lived with us for a while, and we were just always at each other's houses. And I think when everybody heard something happened to Noah, they just said, "What about Jack?" And just, I don't know. I don't know where all the crazy talk's coming from. Just sucks.
Do you feel good to kind of be past that a little bit with the polygraph test?
I mean,
do you believe that you're past that or no?
People saying stuff. I mean, people are saying like it's easy to pass a polygraph and stuff like that. It's just, I don't know. You can't really control what people say about it. You know, you just know what you know. And I've put my personal number on Facebook and said, if you want to talk about it, I'll talk about it.
So what has these last 7 months been like for you?
I mean, it's always been the hardest time of my life. And on top of other people saying everything, it's just been the hardest time of my life.
And so if you could tell there from the very beginning of that interview, Jack was one of the very first people on the scene. He tells me that he was leaving to go fishing with his dad when he drove up the road, noticed all the activity, and then saw Noah's body right here, bloodied on the side.
So you heard Jack tell the reporter that he did not feel as though Noah had gotten beaten up. However, many others did. This is a text from someone who was both at the party and the viewing for Noah, and he wrote this to Jack. It says, "Bro, everyone that saw Noah at the viewing, including me, saw his face was beat up bad. Bro, I know what a beat up face looks like. Definitely not just me saying that. Everyone that saw him said that. Looks like he got beat up by 5 dudes." We are about to review the autopsy report and medical report, but take a listen to how Jack explains the injuries.
Side, he just had his eyes closed, you know. And he had a cut on his forehead. Like, it wasn't just like terrible. Like, I mean, it was just a cut on his forehead. The top of his hair was scraped off his head, and there was blood on his ears.
A scrape, a little cut, a little blood. No, not really. Here is the long list of findings from the autopsy report. I will try to list most of these things in more of a layman's talk so that we both understand what's going on. The autopsy report listed several injuries to Presgrove's head, neck, torso, and upper extremities. Some of these injuries included laceration of his head, abrasions of his face and his neck. He had several broken upper and lower teeth that were shattered out and laying on the highway. He had a ripped open lip. He had fractures in the base of his skull, so much so that his skull was split into 2. He had 4 breaks of his neck. He had brain swelling. He had 9 ribs that were fractured and broken. He had abrasions on his back and on his buttocks. He had lacerations and his lungs were punctuated. He had pulmonary vessels that were ripped. His heart, his spleen, and his stomach all had lacerations. Take a listen to this heartbreaking interview his mother gave after seeing him.
Couldn't have been by a car. Just once I saw his face, it's just, I just couldn't do it. So I had no idea about the hair.
Even his mother does not feel like this was done by a car. Many people, experts or not, do not feel like this was from a car accident.
Or I can read it as a layperson. I think you see a lot more to it. What's your take?
Actually, I'm so glad y'all are looking into this because this is not tracking as a motor vehicle accident. I am very strongly suspicious that there was some sort of an assault or something before he was actually found in the road and perhaps even placed in the road to make it look like a traffic accident.
What are the things in particular, the evidence that make you think this is not a vehicle pedestrian accident as the autopsy lists?
There's so many. One, he has no long bone fractures. There are no fractures of his legs or his arms. He has injuries on both sides of his body. There was apparently no debris found at the scene. He also has rib fractures in his back. Typically, when we find fractures of the ribs, they're front or their side, but from the back means that he was hit by something from the back. But yet he also has injuries on the front of his head. His skull has significant and numerous skull fractures. This does not track to be a pedestrian motor vehicle accident in my mind.
The main argument that experts are stating is that they feel like Noah would have had more injuries to his lower extremities and his legs if he would have got hit by a car going 65 miles an hour. He would have more than likely rolled and had some broken bones from that. He did not have any. So now let's get into some inconsistent stories. One thing that was questionable, Jack later texted, "I went to bed a little before 1. He passed away around 4, walked away from the house around 3:30, according to everyone there," in quotes. A lot of people are questioning this text from Jack because they are wondering how he knew that Noah passed away around 4 when nobody told him this information. The next post is from Noah's friend Caden Pressey. He states that Noah was wearing black shorts when he went to the accident scene, and he feels as though his body was tampered with because somebody must have removed the black shorts that was on Noah's body when he saw him, and he is adamant about this. Caden is the one that had the Hey Dude shoe that Noah walked out with before leaving the house. Another questionable thing is that many have stated that they saw a pair of shorts at the accident scene that was neatly folded, and if he was in fact in an accident and his shorts got removed from the accident, ripped away somehow, why would they be folded? It was also rumored that some of Noah's friends went looking for him after Noah stormed out of the house, and they state that they found him on the side of the road deceased, and they came back to the party house without calling 911 or informing any police that they had found him. One thing that makes the story harder to construct is that when police did seize a lot of the phones from the partygoers, the phone had been erased to factory settings, or either like almost completely erased of all the information, text messages, videos that were taken, etc. Yet another thing that raised the eyebrows is that some of the parents of the partygoers went back to the party house and started cleaning up the house rather stringently with bleach. A lot of people that went in the house afterwards stated that the house smelled like bleach. They threw away a lot of things and got rid of a lot of things that could have been considered evidence. Because at the end of the day, the parents and the adults do need to be held somewhat accountable for letting these underage teens be able to drink, fight, drive, have available weapons at their disposal, as you see pictured here. It just made for a bad combination, as we see. So with all this, what do you guys think? I would love to hear from you. Not my cup of tea.